All right. It is Thursday, January 15th. It's only 2 weeks into the new year. And I am joined by not only Cha-Cha, but her lovely mother, Ana Navarro. Welcome to Behind the Table. You're clad in Miami again. I have to notice this is a trend.
Oh yes, the NCAA championship is this weekend, so I'm all into it. We can talk about it.
Yeah, well, we'll get there, but let's start with some hot topics because we've been talking all week about the ICE raids and what's happening in Minnesota in the wake of the killing of Renee Good, and now another shooting during a raid yesterday. What are your thoughts on all of this? I know we've talked a little bit about it on the show, but
look, I think what's happened in Minnesota and that the killing of Renee Good was the tipping point. But I think this has been at a boiling point and building up for months because Americans have been seeing the performative cruelty by ICE agents enabled and emboldened by Donald Trump and his minions. So we have seen, despite how many times Donald Trump and his spokespeople tell us that they are taking the worst and the worst, that they are heinous criminals, that they are rapists, that they are killers, we are seeing it with our own eyes. We are seeing the DoorDash driver run into a home crying. We are seeing the 15-year-old child. We are seeing the 25-year-old special ed teacher being pulled from her car after her window is broken. We are seeing the disabled woman, the pregnant woman dragged through the snow, the teenagers dragged who were working at Target, dragged out. And so many of these have been U.S. citizens. So because there are people who have been willing to go out there and document these abuses of power and this cruelty, it is that America knows the truth. And we are not buying the load of bull that the Trump administration wants to feed us, telling us that these are criminals. The vast majority of the people that have been detained and deported do not have serious criminal convictions. And I think that's why people are out there protesting. The Trump administration, Trump and his, mouthpieces want to tell you that these are trained agitators. I saw an interview yesterday on CNN of a young woman. Her name was Perla. She talked about how she had seen this on social media, seen the images of what was happening on social media, and felt the need to go out there and speak for those who couldn't speak. I think the vast majority of the people who are out there in the streets in incredible cold weather, at risk of their lives, at risk of being harmed, getting into conflict, despite the fear, despite the intimidation, are doing it out of love for this country, for our Constitution, for our laws, and for humanity. And because people are just so outraged that they need to get out there and feel like that they are doing something. To me, these are far from trained agitators. I have protested twice since Trump has been in office. It hasn't been because some Democratic elected official calls me and tells me go out and protest. It hasn't been because anybody has trained me to agitate. I was born an agitator. It has been
find you very agitated.
Because I'm pissed off and I don't want to, and I refuse to take it. Sitting down and just, watching news and not feel like I'm doing something actively. It has felt good every time I have protested. So, I think that's what you are seeing. People are fed up with what they have seen for months and months and months. This is not the America I know. And Brian, I remember when January 6th, seeing those images of people, raiding the Capitol and attacking police and trying to impede the peaceful transfer of power. And those are images that I'd only seen coming out of Latin America. That's exactly what Nicolas Maduro did, right? Lose an election and stay through oppression and power and force. I had never seen that in the U.S. and it broke my heart. It broke my heart in a way, as somebody who fled political violence and revolution, it broke my heart in such a way. And the images I am seeing right now that we're all seeing out of Minnesota are also heartbreaking in the same way, because the world who has always seen us as a beacon of freedom is seeing the militarization of our streets which is something that is just so shocking and un-American.
It's antithetical to everything that America's been.
And I am not one who ever likes to make comparisons with some of these tyrannical regimes.
Yeah.
I know that we are different from Iran. I know that we are different from Venezuela or Cuba or Nicaragua, because we have people out in the streets able to document what's happening. In Iran, they have a internet blackout, because we have a relatively free press that's out there covering this, because we have a relatively independent judicial branch and lawsuits are being brought up, and because we have still relatively free and fair elections. All of those things we have that they don't have. But that doesn't mean that the images we are seeing are not eerily reminiscent of the government oppression, of the same images we have seen in history, throughout history, and that we are seeing now happening in the streets of tyrannical regimes. So I think that's why, it's the juxtaposition going on while we're seeing people
it's not the same, but
it
evokes those images.
It just feels it feels so wrong. It feels like we are just failing America in such a way, and the people showing up to protest are there to defend the America that we have always known and loved.
Well, we've talked about it all week. We'll be continuing to talk about this.
Yeah, this is not gonna end. And if Minnesota tamps down, he's going to send people somewhere else, and it's going to pop up there, because any normal human being, certainly any normal president, would right now be trying to figure out how to protect Americans and how to tamp down this situation. Donald Trump, being the abnormal human being and president that he is doing exactly the opposite. Sending more people, telling them through Stephen Miller that they can do whatever the hell they want, not working with state and local authorities. He is doubling down on punishing the people of Minnesota. And this began as some sort of thing about Somali fraud, which was a legitimate issue, and it's been prosecuted, and it continues to be prosecuted and should be. But somehow it has metastasized into this cancer where they are pulling people from everywhere. They are, asking people for their papers. They're stopping cars. They are breaking people's windows. They are dragging people out of their workplace. I mean, it's unacceptable. And I admire the people that are standing up for the principles that America embodies. Or that we thought America embodied.
I'm going to change gears a little bit, because we talked yesterday and you weren't here about Joe Rogan. Because as everyone knows, he endorsed Donald Trump, says he voted for Donald Trump, and now he's speaking out against the administration's stance on these ICE raids. Joy is applauding Rogan for speaking out. Sonny thinks that this is what he voted for, so it's a little too late. I was curious to get your feelings about this, because you've been open-minded about some, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've been less open-minded about others. Where are you on this?
I actually sent Joe Rogan a DM a few months ago
Really?
because he had talked about the excess on the immigration raids.
Yeah.
He's talked about it before. This isn't the first time he says it. And we communicated. And I am happy that he's doing it, because I know what he means in that manosphere, especially. Now, let's remember, he voted for Donald Trump. One of the mistakes that I think even Kamala today acknowledges is that she did not go on his podcast.
He's tremendously influential.
But I sit on TV with a hell of a lot of people who voted for Trump, who today know that what he's doing is wrong, and who sit on TV trying to tell the American people that what they are seeing with their own eyes is not what they are seeing, who sit on TV and defend the indefensible, who sit on TV and justify the unjustifiable. And so I do appreciate that Joe Rogan, whose existence does not subsist, right, does not depend on Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Some of these people that you see on TV, their identity is all about, I can get into the White House. I spoke to the White House today.
Right.
This and that. Okay, so without Donald Trump, there ain't nothing.
Right.
There ain't no reason for them to be on TV.
Joe Rogan, regardless.
Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan. It's his podcast. He's got millions and millions of listeners and viewers and followers. And I think He's not at a place in his life. He is liberated to be able to see the video and be truthful about what he saw, to be able to see the things that we are seeing with our own eyes and be truthful and not have to lie, just so that you can continue getting a paycheck and not lose followers on Instagram.
I will say there's a lot of things he said, and even on this episode, he said things that I think are wrong and don't agree with. But he's someone who speaks, who I believe, much like the people on The View, is speaking from a place of intellectual honesty. They're being authentic about what they believe and what they say without an agenda, and I think that's right. I think that's right from him. I'm curious. The fact that he wrote you back, I find interesting.
Look, I've told you before. I was a political hack most of my adult life, and that meant that you had to stick to talking points, to media guidances. Whenever something happened, they would send you the talking points. That's why when you see media hacks, political hacks on TV, everybody's quoting the same statistics.
There's 12 people on 12 channels saying the exact same thing.
Exact same thing, using the same terms, the same catchphrases, the same numbers, the same sources, all of that. For me, 2016 was liberating. I no longer receive communications from anybody. What you hear from me is what I am thinking. And I think that Joe Rogan is in the exact same place. I don't know that he's ever been a political hack. I have. And, there comes a point when I think that you unbind yourself from those chains and you realize that you don't know anybody anything, and that, the way that you connect is by being truthful, authentic, and thinking through things through yourself. Political hacks can be very lazy. Reading political points and, getting talking points from a press secretary can be a lot easier.
All right. Let's change gears yet again. Venezuelan opposition leader, and this is happening almost right now as we're talking, Maria Corina Machado is meeting with President Trump today.
People are calling her MCM.
MCM?
Yes.
Oh, I don't mind that.
Okay.
All right. Nobel Prize winner, MCM.
Maria Corina Machado.
Yes. Meeting with President Trump today at the White House. What do you think is going to come of this meeting? Do you think she's going to get anywhere with him? Is she going to flatter him and win him over? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, okay, so let's roll this back a little bit. Remember that when January 3rd happened and he extricates Maduro out of Venezuela, there's that military mission into Venezuela. When he gives that first press conference and he gets asked about her, the first thing he says is that she doesn't have the respect or support of the Venezuelan people, which is wrong. That woman, through the stand-in, because she was not allowed to run, the stand-in that ran on her behalf won 70% of the vote. And he has thrown her under the bus several occasions. Part of it is because she won the Nobel Peace Prize. And he thought she should have given it back. She should have not accepted it and said, I'm not going to accept it because this rightfully belongs to Donald Trump and he should be the one that got it. She dedicated it to him. And it got a lot of attacks and criticism from some people, particularly on the left. Then I saw, that after he gave that initial press conference where he threw her under the bus, where he threw Maria Corina Machado under the bus, she suddenly popped up on Fox News, on Hannity. And he specifically asked her, if you get the chance to meet with Donald Trump, will you offer him the Nobel Peace Prize? And she said yes. And all of a sudden, she gets an invitation to the White House. She goes from being under the bus to somehow being pulled from under the wheels of the bus, put back together. There's makeup, and she gets invited to the White House. Now, is it infuriating? Yes, it is. Does it make me indignant? Yes, it does. But here's the thing. Right now, Donald Trump is willing to work and is giving all sorts of accolades and passes to Nicolas Maduro's vice president, who has been just as evil and as bad as Nicolas Maduro has been.
Right.
Basically, the regime that Nicolas Maduro was running is intact, but for Nicolas Maduro. There was almost 1,000 documented political prisoners in jail being held in Venezuela. Today, there's still over 800. Why in the hell the first thing that Donald Trump didn't do is demand that all political prisoners be released? I still don't understand. And so if the price to pay in order for there to be true democratic transition, in order for the legitimate opposition leader who has been fighting against tyranny in Venezuela for decades at the risk of her life, if the price for that is her showing up humbly with her Nobel Peace Prize and offering it to him, that is a price that most Venezuelans I have spoken to, and I've spoken to a lot, tell me they are willing to pay. If the price is giving Donald Trump access to their oil fields, that is a price that they are willing to pay. But people need to understand why they are willing to pay this price. It has been over 25 years of cruel oppression and dictatorship. First Hugo Chavez, then Nicolas Maduro. Time and time again, they went out and they protested. And Nicolas Maduro and Hugo Chavez squashed those protesters by beating them up, by jailing them, by exiling them. Time and time again, they showed up and they voted against Nicolas Maduro. And Nicolas Maduro stole those elections through fraud and remained in power. So I think after 25 years of such suffering, after 8 million plus Venezuelans having to flee into exile, after years of family separation, after years of not being able to visit their homeland, after years of that heartache and suffering, Venezuelans look at themselves and say, okay, Donald Trump's insane.
Yeah, give him the prize.
He's an infantile human being who needs this trinket. But you know what? And listen, she can give him the prize. She can give it to him physically. It's in her possession, right? I can give you the phone. That doesn't mean that it's your phone.
No.
And history will never recognize him as a winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, even if he has the medal. I can go on eBay and buy a Tony or an Oscar or an Olympic medal. That does not make me a gold medalist decathlete.
No.
And so, yeah, who has possession of the actual prize does not mean that they are the winner. I think it's embarrassing. I don't think it makes her look bad, and I suspect she will get very much criticized and attacked for doing that. I think it makes him look so stupid and foolish and childish. I mean, this is a kid throwing a tantrum. That's my toy. Give me back my toy. If you don't give me back my toy, you got to leave my house. I mean, he did it with Zelensky.
Yeah.
Zelensky had to come back in wearing a suit.
Yeah.
and begging forgiveness and saying thank you every other word. He did it with the head guy of FIFA. FIFA needs visas for the people wanting to come in to watch the World Cup game.
I hate that they have to do it, but I respect a leader that's willing to humble themselves to help their people. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you do it? I don't think you could do it. I think you'd have a hard time.
I mean, if I and by the way, somebody who is attacking his own citizens in the streets of his own country will never, ever, ever get close to the Nobel Peace Prize. So he's going to go to his deathbed with the Obama envy that he feels. The envy he feels for Barack Obama and John F. Kennedy. I think he wants to be seen as kind of like that, mythical, iconic, presidential, historical figure that everybody admires, even if you disagreed with them. And, he's just never going to get there. I don't care what how many times he puts the name Trump in front of the Kennedy Center. I don't care how many times he destroys Jackie Kennedy's Rose Garden, or how many times, he puts a fake gold peace medal around his neck. He's never going to get to Barack Obama level or John F. Kennedy level. So it is what it is. I don't know how Melania doesn't tell him, this is stupid. You've got to stop this. You look like an idiot. You look like a child. It's just so unseemly. Apparently she told him that it was unprecedented for him to be doing that milking
dance
of the cows YMCA dance. How the hell doesn't she tell him the same thing? Are there not people around this man?
We'll find out when we see the Melania movie in a few months.
Okay, you cannot take the Nobel Peace Prize from a woman who was in hiding for risk of her life for 2 years. It is hers. But I mean, I put nothing past him. Betting, since you like to bet, you think he takes it?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
All right, let's switch gears. To be fair, though, I've lost every bet I've placed in about the last 3 months.
Well, but even if he takes it, he's going to have to give it back at the end of his presidency because a gift like that, a president cannot take with him.
He'll put it on the jet. All right, switching gears to fun.
And hopefully J.B. Pritzker or Josh Shapiro, whomever comes next, will send the FBI to Mar-a-Lago and fetch the medal back. But go ahead.
Switching gears to something fun. Last week we celebrated your birthday. Belated, but a lot of fun, I thought. And members of the Broadway show Buena Vista Social Club surprised you and told you that you're going to be making your Broadway debut, which was very fun for me because you didn't even believe that was happening. But this is real. You're going to join the show for one night. Now, you've seen the show. Are you excited about this? Are you nervous?
My heart starts palpitating every time I think about it. I am sweating BBs. I have no musical ability, no musical talent. I have no rhythm. I have no harmony.
You can't act either.
I can't act. I can't act. I can't sing. I can't dance. I mean, these people are at the top of their game. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Show up.
They're going to prop you up. They're going to prop you up. It's going to be great. I'm very excited about it.
I am sweating BBs.
Will any of? I mean, this is your Broadway debut. This is a big time for somebody. Will any of your famous friends be present? That's what I want to know.
Actually, I got a text the other day after that episode from Lin-Manuel's father.
Oh.
You know, Lin-Manuel and Lin-Manuel's father, Luis, are producers of the show. And he said to me, when the hell did you become an actress? And I said to him, I'm really nervous about this. Will you give me some lessons? Will you guys give me some lessons? So I might be going over to Lin-Manuel's and his dad's
that's a
for some
good
lessons.
Place. Yeah, if you're going to prep, I think that's a good person to tutor you. All right, well, I'm very excited about this. I want details.
I don't want anybody I know there. And for some reason, you're all planning to go there, I think, just to laugh at me.
I'll probably bring my daughters. It'll be great. It'll be great. All right, so Bad Bunny is doing the halftime show of the Super Bowl. This is one of the big things you're excited about. And a story just came out that he reportedly has a height requirement for the people who will be part of the performance on the field. And a lot of people are upset about this. You have to be between 5'7" and 6 feet tall. Now, a lot of Bad Bunny fans are upset. When I told you about this, you were upset because you don't make the cut.
I don't think I was making a beeline to go volunteer to be part of the halftime show.
I would have bet you were on the stage somewhere in there. But, what's happening?
No. First of all, I don't know what the hell has happened to me. I don't know what kind of snatching of my body has happened. That for some reason I have been speaking about football ad nauseum.
Yes.
This entire week. Okay, so let's begin with what's happening this week, right? This on Monday.
Which is the College Football National Championship.
No, it's not the College Football National Championship. It is the Miami Bowl.
Yes.
It is. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It is the Miami Bowl. So it is the University of Miami playing against Indiana University.
Whose quarterback?
Whose quarterback is Fernando Mendoza, who is a Cuban-American kid from Miami. And Pitbull is going to be doing the halftime during the show. So, I mean, honestly, it's Miami is at such a fever pitch. I can't even tell you. I'm a UM alum, and so they sent me this big box of swag, and I've been wearing sports swag the entire week. A whole different experience for me. I am very excited. I am planning on going to the game.
This is big.
I have not been. I said to my best friend the other night, I don't think I haven't been to a football game in 25 years.
Did you go when you were at U of M?
No. I went once and it was so uncomfortable because they had us like in the student section and there was, first it was the Orange Bowl back then and it was, and they had us at a student section which was like I don't know, it was like a cage and there was no padding, there was no back support or padding and nobody was bringing drinks to my seat. So I went once and that was the end of that. But the last time I went to a football game was 2007, I think it was. It was the Super Bowl in Miami.
I was there.
Where Prince, who played?
Prince.
No, the Super Bowl, the halftime show.
It was, I think it was the Bears and the Colts, maybe? No.
Don't ask me if I know. But I was there. Okay, so if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm there, and I had gone with my ex, and he always went to the Super Bowl. Every year he went to the Super Bowl with 3 of his best friends. And they had great seats. They were like on the 50-yard line, like 4 rows up. And Billy Joel was doing the pregame show. Yep. And Prince was doing the halftime show. I love them both. So I said to him, listen, I want to sit there with your friends. Oh, and he had 1 ticket in a suite. And I said, I want to sit with your friends until after Prince. And then let's switch and I'll go to the suite and you come and sit with your friends. And then it starts raining and raining and raining. It rained. Do you remember that?
I do.
Rained the entire time. A lady comes selling ponchos. By the time she gets to me, only thing left is child-sized ponchos. So I pay like $40 for a poncho that fits me like a bib. And then I pay for another poncho just for my purse. It was so miserable. And then the time after that I went to the Hard Rock was to see Lady Gaga, and it was biblical rain and thunder that we almost died. So I'm a little nervous about going back to the Hard Rock, but I'm going to do it for the U and because my niece and nephew and Al are just wild about
I've been to 11 Super Bowls. I have never been to a college football championship, and I've heard it is one of the absolute most fun.
On this?
Yeah.
Don't bet against Miami. You've been such a traitor.
No,
lately.
I might take the points. You know what
and
that
means? I have friends who are coming in who are actually from Indiana. So like, I was texting with Isaiah Thomas, who's a very close friend of mine, and he actually I think played for the NCAA championship of basketball when he was in Indiana. Anyways, it's gonna be a great weekend. The weather's going to be wonderful in Miami. It's going to be incredibly fun. It's going to be on ESPN.
Yes, exactly.
On Monday night. And so I'm very excited about this.
I'm excited about it too.
And after that, it'll be all about Bad Bunny and that Super Bowl and that halftime.
Summer, look up. It's 2007, I think, is what the day is. I'm just trying to figure out who the teams were. I'll be impressed if I pulled this out.
What did you say it was?
I think it was the Colts and the Bears, but we'll see.
You're full of useless random knowledge.
I am. I was physically there. I should.
Why would you be there?
Colts and the Bears. I was right.
Oh my God, how you love to be right.
That was my job. When I was working for David Letterman, my job was to go on the field after the game and book the winning quarterback.
I feel like every time you say the words, when I was working for David Letterman,
I smile and get happy.
You get misty-eyed.
I do. I loved it so much. Boy,
I saw an interview of his this week talking about his old home.
Yeah, about CBS. Yeah. No, it was on.
He spared no punches.
He's got a YouTube show called The Barbara Gaines Show, and it's hosted by my old executive producer, and he's the only guest. He's on every week, and it's worth checking out.
Is that the best job you've ever had?
It's the job I dreamt of when I was a kid. Like when I was 15 years old, I've said this before, but when I was 15 years old, I read a book called The Late Shift. I didn't know anybody who worked in television. I didn't know that was like a career path for me or anything else, but it's a book by a man named Bill Carter, and it's all about that when Johnny Carson retired, there was a big war between David Letterman and Jay Leno over who was going to get the Tonight Show. And I read this book. I was maybe 15, maybe 16 years old, and I closed the book and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be David Letterman's guy. I want to be David Letterman's producer. How do I figure that out? And then I started learning about what you could possibly do. And so if you'd asked me then what I wanted to do when I was a grown-up, it was to be a producer for David Letterman. So I got to do it.
So never in your dreams you wanted to be a producer for The View?
It was never. Well, The View didn't exist at that point. But yeah, I love my job. I'm proud of my job now. But
The View existed. It's almost 30 years old.
Yeah, well, I'm 49, so this was when I was 16. So it hadn't come through yet. Yeah,
it's amazing that you got there. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is a testament to your perseverance and focus and discipline.
And a lot of luck.
If Letterman was still on the air, would you still be his producer?
I don't think I ever would have left. I was so happy there. Yeah, but it's hard to know. I mean, I'm so grateful for the opportunities I've gotten here and everything else. But
only because he left, and this was your life vest.
When he retired in 2015, and I came here about 2 months after that. So I don't think I would have left.
Honey, you got children to put through college, and they got a lot of very expensive extracurricular activities.
They really do. All right, on that note,
all right.
Thank you for joining me today, Ada. That's it for Behind the Table this week, and we're going to be off on Martin Luther King Day on Monday, but we'll see you back here on Tuesday. We got a big guest. I don't think it's been announced yet, but we'll talk about that, and we'll see you then.
Behind the Table is executive produced by Brian Teta. Supervising producers are Nathan Getty and Summer Shea. Associate producers are Emily Darcy and Katerina Alexopoulos. And our editor is Brian Davis. And director of publicity is Laurie Hogan. From ABC Audio, Trevor Hastings serves as senior producer, with director of podcast programming Josh Cohen.